This woman was thrown out of the Hobbycraft store that she was in after questioning a badge. Is this the Britain that we live in today? I mean, let's go straight to her. Rebekah Chapman, you are the woman at the centre of this story, welcome to the show. What happened on that ludicrous day?
As we were paying, we noticed this member of staff was wearing the badge, which appeared to be barring gender-critical people from the store, using a slur to do so. We objected to it. We were asked to leave, and ultimately it's another example of gender-critical people facing discrimination and unfair treatment.
Well, you're right, because what if she had a badge on that said no trans, no Labour people or something like that? Do you think she'd get away with the same sort of thing? I mean, when she threw you out, was it quite violent, or was it, what was the confrontation like?
So we asked the manager, we asked to speak to the manager.
Right. You did a Karen.
In retail. Sorry, say that again?
You did a Karen. I need to speak to the manager.
I did. I've been called Karen quite a lot over the past few days. But yeah, we asked to speak to the manager. The manager came over, and this member of staff explained that we had a problem with the badge. And he, instead of listening to a word from us, put his hands in the air and told us we needed to read a biology textbook, said you can write a complaint and you can leave.
Wow.
We tried to explain that, look, there's actually a legal precedent set, kind of lots of case law indicating that actually you can't treat people who hold these perfectly reasonable, mainstream, common sense beliefs in such a manner. It's an attempt to exclude us from public life.
If you read a biology textbook, it would tell you that a trans woman is not a woman. That's not an uncontroversial sort of thing. I mean, that's ridiculous that they basically tried to educate you when you were telling them the truth. I mean, did you ever sort of experience anything else like this in your life, or is this really the height of ludicrous?
I mean, frankly, an insane thing to say. We're all aware that the human species is sexually dimorphic. So I'm not sure why he thought that was some kind of comeback.
Oh, so it was a he.
We've seen a great deal of, quite crackers claims about gender and sexuality, gender and sex. Frankly, to me, it's quite clear there are men and there are women. That doesn't dictate what you do, how you live your life, but it does matter in terms of things like prisons, medical treatment, etc. And to hold that common sense belief isn't to be discriminatory to anyone else, isn't to be hateful. I mean, I've been called a Nazi, we've been told we're bigots, and
that's really dangerous language. I mean, this always now just makes me think about Charlie Kirk and how he was completely vilified for having some very straightforward views that were absolutely not controversial about things like biology, men and women and what their sort of roles were. These are things that really shouldn't be something that everyone, I don't know, you get thrown out of a shop for. And I think it's ridiculous to be calling you those names, and it actually is really throwing fuel on the fire for this sort of violence that we see these days. I want to bring Myron into this. Yeah. I mean, what would you say to what this poor lady faced?
Yeah, I think politics affects everything, but at the same time, we need to work hard to depoliticize areas as much as possible. And I would hope a Hobbycraft shop would be one of those areas. But look,
seems like the battleground for this sort of thing.
Absolutely, but trans activists, we need to understand they do sort of believe they have the moral high ground. They seem to think they follow the same trajectory as feminists, as gay rights activists. But the principle behind feminists was women want to have equal opportunity to men. The principle behind gay rights was I want to be left alone. Leave me alone to be with my partner, who we have consensually together. The trans activism, the principle behind that is my subjective reality has to trump all of objective reality. So my feelings has to trump all of truth, all of facts. We have to change legislation, change civil society, change language, just because I feel this way. So the actual principle behind trans activism is not the same as as feminism and as gay rights. Now, I will completely respect any person who comes in and says, a trans woman who comes in here, I'm happy to play, to be courteous and use their pronouns and whatever it is. No problem. showing them much dignity as possible. But we cannot demonise people, customers, like we've just seen, and we cannot change civil society simply because of the way someone feels.
No, you make a really good point there. I mean, are you going to be now standing up a little bit more for what you actually believe in, or is this really sort of put you off? Are you just like, no, I'm not gonna go near that?
I've been outspoken for quite some time. A lot of people feel that they can't be that way. A lot of people feel they will face repercussions in the workplace, or if they have
I think you've been discriminated against, genuinely.
Exactly,
I know that there have been similar cases where people have sort of won over £100,000 because they have been discriminated against. It's a form of discrimination. It's just not in the direction that the left wants it to be.
Completely. And I mean, I would say it's a non-partisan issue. There are gender critical people across the entirety of the political spectrum, and because it's a very common sense mainstream belief. And I mean, I would hope that someone, an average person like me, speaking up over this circumstance would encourage other people to do so, not be afraid to be seen to do so publicly, to feel supported, to feel as though courage calls to courage. If you see someone else doing it, you feel more able to do it yourself.
You're so right. And honestly, you're not an average woman. You're a very strong woman to stand up for this.
And you are backed by the Supreme Court.
Yeah, because it took 5 years to come up with the definition and 84 pages. Would you ever return to a Hobbycraft store after this traumatic experience?
I would not. I'm going to save myself the trouble, and I would much rather give my patronage to businesses which, frankly, I mean, when you're going to buy some bits and bobs from a haberdashery, you're not looking for politics.
A turf war.
Just go about your life.
Yeah. You're right. You're so right. And it's also, you know, the left loves to boycott things. So how about you just reverse Uno them and boycott Hobbycraft? Genuinely, that just seems like an outrageous thing to happen. Rebekah, thank you so much for joining us. That's Rebekah Chapman. She is a designer and just an all-round strong woman to actually stand up for what she believes in.